Welcome back to the Pain Game YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Today we are talking the next big event in Saudi Arabia. It's 5 versus 5 on June the 1st. And in case you forgot, this event is special because it's 5 fighters from Matchroom, 5 fighters from Queensberry, and the winner is crowned the greatest promotion in boxing. And one of the reasons I'm excited about this fight is the return of the Bronze Bomber, who was facing off against another heavyweight puncher in Zhile Zhang, who was representing Queensberry. Deontay representing Eddie Hearn's Matchroom, and they've had beef back in the day, so I don't know how they settled this, because Eddie Hearn has actually made Deontay Wilder his captain for this event, which means he'll actually be awarded more points if Deontay Wilder wins. So essentially, he's bet the house on the Bronze Bomber. And this is a really interesting time in Deontay Wilder's career. Today I'm going to do a bit of a deep dive into how Wilder became one of the most feared punchers in boxing. But he's under a lot of pressure right now. I mean, it's do or die in this tournament. If he ever wants to get back to a title shot, it's got to start with a win against one of the best boxers in the heavyweight division in Zhang. As it stands, he's got 43 wins, 3 losses, and a draw. Obviously, the draw came against Tyson Fury in their first fight, and the other 2 losses against Tyson Fury, as well as a recent loss against Joseph Parker. That was a disappointing performance. He was timid, he didn't throw a lot, and he's got to change that if he's going to ever get back to the top. And what I really love about Deontay Wilder's story is it isn't conventional. His why is different to a lot of boxers. Most boxers, they start young, maybe their dad puts them into boxing, and they just carry on, and that's the way it goes. With Wilder, he started boxing at 20 years old due to his daughter being born with spina bifida, which was quite a rare and difficult condition for her to live with, and he needed money to support her, which is really a nice reason to start punching people in the face, isn't it? And crazily, after boxing for just 18 months, Deontay Wilder would get a bronze medal in the Olympics in 2008. He was beat by Russo of Italy, who's the same guy that Usyk actually beat for his gold medal just 4 years later. And that bronze medal is why Deontay is now known as the Bronze Bomber. Now, after the Olympics, Deontay Wilder would retire with an amateur record of 24-6, and he would turn pro. And little did the world know at that point that one of the most fierce knockout punchers in the history of boxing was about to explode onto the scene. And let's have a look at some of his best knockouts. Oh, damn! Oh no, that was bad. He did the splits. As his teacher, as his trainer, one of the greatest amateurs of all. When they just freeze after getting punched, that's bad. Your body isn't supposed to do that. Which way he turns, the outcome is... He's so quick. What's mad though is, in some of these punches he's throwing, he's not really landing fully flush, but it doesn't matter because it's enough to make them terrified to take another shot from him. None of these are really connecting, but the ferocity, people are dropping to their knees like, fuck me, I don't want to take one here. Get me out of here. Fuck me. That was a brutal punch. Let's see that again in an instant replay. That's going to be a real hangover. It's mad, right? Because he doesn't have great technique, Wilder. We all know this, right? It's like on a create a character when you're on your PlayStation and you just put like power and speed up to 99, right? And then there's no points left for like technique and skill. But it doesn't matter. He's an absolute psycho. Even though he hasn't got like a lot of body weight behind what he's doing, he's a very tall bloke for his weight, 6'6". What is he, 215 pounds, and he's got these skinny arms, but he manages to generate so much force by how far back he comes from. By the time that right hand lands, it detonates on people's skulls. Oh no, don't do that. He said, come on, I'll have a bit more of that. Took one more, he went, no, that's too much. I've seen that before, but fucking hell, mate. You have no room to play around with this guy. Look at him, look at the way he's swinging. He's a fucking lunatic, him. Like, he looks clueless in how to box sometimes, but bloody hell, when he lands, don't be there. He fights like he's trying to kill you. And Deontay Wilder's killer instinct is what made him him, but it was almost the undoing of him, because the way he overcommits, he leaves so many gaps. And he actually went as far as to say in many interviews back in the day, I want to actually kill someone in the ring.
I want a body, and he gonna be the body. Like I said, I meant everything, even with the killing part. I meant that. I meant that. I do want a body on my record.
He's a PR disaster. Because like his team are like, oh, he doesn't really mean that. He's just saying it to like get... He's like, I meant it though. I actually did mean it.
Nah, I want a body on my record. I want one.
That's so fucked up, though. This is supposed to be about boxing, but like to want to take a man's life in the ring, it does make me feel uncomfortable about this guy. Because like I've seen boxers who you know, you see that they've accidentally killed their opponent. They're just trying to outbox them. They're trying to win, but the game's the game, and it can happen sometimes. These guys get broken mentally for years after this. They never forgive themselves, and he's out here saying, "No, I want to do that." That's the level of darkness that was propelling Deontay Wilder through this killing streak that he went on, and you can tell by the way he throws. Like, he's not throwing to win this fight. He's throwing to kill you. As much as I don't like that attitude, would he have gotten all those knockouts if he wasn't throwing it with such bad intentions? I don't think so. I think that's where his knockout ratio is coming from. The attempts to take your life. And apparently since then, he's done the ayahuasca, he's zened out, he's calm now, you know, he's not that guy. But all of a sudden, the knockouts have dried up. If this version of Wilder comes back, Zhang's in trouble. Jesus Christ. Look at that. Oh no. This man's legs were still moving when he was out. That was mad. He did the same to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, you get your hands up. He can find a way through the guard, and it doesn't matter if you've got your hands up. Wilder's knockout to win ratio is 97.6%. That is the highest in the history of the heavyweight division. This is a special fighter. There's no doubt about it. Even if I don't rate him technically, he's a freak. Oh, not a bad left hook either. Jesus. And I've seen some hard punchers, but the way these men turn away and just flinch and avoid without standing and trying to respond, trying to cover up, that brutality that he's putting them through, they're not behaving the way they normally would at all, which shows like he's an anomaly. He's not normal. Even Tyson Fury said it about Francis Ngannou. Deontay Wilder hits harder than a lot of them. I've seen that one before, but fuck me. So his opponent comes in with this big, wide left hook, and Deontay sneaks this little right hand in. Boom! And he falls flat on his back. Jesus. This was for the WBC title. You know, it's funny, right? In terms of like people who could potentially pull off an upset against an Usyk, it's someone who doesn't need a lot of success in a fight and can just shut the lights off. Someone who has that lottery ticket in their right hand that just needs to land once. Because the rest of them, it takes so much more. And a prime Deontay Wilder might have been one of the few fighters who even had a prayer against Usyk. I'm not saying he wins, but he is less skilled than a lot of people he fights, and he manages to overcome them because he's got that secret weapon in his right hand that no one can stop. Now Deontay Wilder, I don't know, but back in the day, possibly he might have had a chance. Big shot. And another thing I'll give Wilder credit for, and this is an underrated skill in boxing, is like the ability to finish. Like a lot of fighters, they can get you hurt, but can they close the show? Sometimes they spoil their work a little bit by rushing it. He just gets it right. He's like a shark in the water that smells blood. The referee interfered there and then didn't. What the hell went on there? He tries to stop and then he doesn't. What the hell am I watching? This referee was kind. This was when Wilder was the most feared man in boxing. And little did he know that this fat bloke was coming for him. And this was when Fury was going through his depression, and Wilder basically passed a comment on him and thinking he's done, he's finished. And that was the thing that got Tyson Fury off the couch to say, I'm not going to let you do this. I'm not going to let you count me out like this. And in many respects, Wilder gave Fury the motivation to transform his life and to come back stronger than ever. I don't think that's what he intended to do, though, if we're being honest.
You know, we both boxed on the same card on a few times. It'd be fantastic to get back match fit and box together again as both world champions. We came up through the amateur ranks together, came up the professional ranks together, and now I'd love to box as world champions together. Really has given me the va-va-voom that I need.
Fair play to Fury. Like, you can see the state he's in. He went from 28 stone to about 18 stone in I think around 7 months for that fight. That was not just like a body transformation, that's a life transformation. And I honestly think Wilder really didn't know how strong Fury was going to come come for that first fight. And Wilder still was almost too much for him.
But what do I care about is showing the people what I'm all about. Displaying what my grandma always told me, that I was anointed by God. And I'm showing each and every time I get in the ring, each and every time I show you a display, a knockout. I speak it, believe it, receive it. And I can't say it enough, but I will tell you, I will preach it to you, I will instill it in your head what I'm all about. America got a mighty man in me.
As you hear from his own mouth here, he believes, according to his grandmother, he was anointed by God with the power that he was given. He might have skipped on the footwork. He definitely gave him the power, though. Let's see what Fury had to say.
He's made 7 defences of his world title, but he's still unknown in this country. So what do they need to do? Bring in a big mouth Brit from England, the best fighter on the planet, and let Wilder get his ass kicked.
To be fair to Fury, they both really elevated each other. This fight made both fighters a lot of money, and it raised their profile massively. And you hear in this little face-off, Wilder referenced the fact that Fury's talking about his people have been fighting for 200 years. He says, my people have been fighting for way longer. And this sparked one of the most iconic fighter rants in boxing history. To this day!
You know what I'm talking about, man. You know what. I dare you to sit up there and say, explain. You know what I'm talking about, man. He's fighting people. You know we've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day. To this day. To this day.
Having a man who's that much of a killer get right in your eyes and to say that to you, probably uncomfortable, I would assume Radio Raheem felt. But like, that passion, that anger within him, and look, he's grown up around people who struggled. It's all pouring out right now. All the demons, all of the anger, all of the pain. That right there is where those knockouts come from. He's not messing around.
You just sit here, you don't know what I'm talking about?
And by the way, he's angry at Radio Raheem in that moment because he pushed him to explain what he meant. And he's getting angry saying, oh, you know what I mean, because obviously they come from a similar background. But that was brilliant interviewing. That little nudge from Radio Raheem to just get him to go that little bit further, we got a window into his soul in that moment. And this is why interviewers need to push, need to prod. And this is why, you know, when certain fighters, mentioning no names, don't want that, that's why, because they don't want you to say the real them. And when you push them, sometimes the real them comes out. And it fucking did there. Which brings us to one of the most unbelievable moments in boxing history, when Deontay Wilder puts down Tyson Fury in the 12th round of their first fight, thinking he'd sealed the deal. But he thought wrong.
Right hand. Oh, and down he goes.
How on earth Tyson Fury at the count of 6 manages to recover is outrageous. But what a shot from Wilder. When you're losing the rounds and you need a knockout in round 12 and that's what you deliver, this shows you can't count Deontay Wilder out. And I know he's had a couple of flat performances lately, but this man, he's still capable of that. It's just whether his mind is willing to go there to that darkness to bring this out of him again. So the fight ends in a draw, and inevitably they were going to do it again. And ahead of the second fight, Wilder let Tyson Fury know he had to thank him for a lot.
Don't ever forget, when I found you was strung out on coke. When I found you was like a big house, contemplating about killing yourself. So don't you ever forget who brought you to big time boxing. I've drugged you back.
It just shows how deeply Wilder thinks about this stuff. This shit is personal to him. I think maybe when he detached from his ego, when he did this whole ayahuasca thing, all of that sort of deep resentment and anger and hatred that's driving him towards his opponents, towards life even. If he's detached from that, his ability to commit in those punches isn't really likely to come back. Wilder is at his best when he's angry and he's pissed off at the world. And it's hard to do that when you've got a bank full of money and you're quite chill. This is the Wilder who needs to come back for this next fight. Unfortunately, it didn't help him in the rematch because Tyson Fury was basically at his best. Now, ahead of the second fight, Wilder made it clear that he felt cheated, that the count wasn't the right count. You know, when the referee is counting when Fury is down, you can count at your own pace. It's just based on whatever the referee does in that moment. When they timed it, Fury had maybe got a little bit longer than the 10 seconds. So he felt he'd been robbed. So Wilder comes out for his next fight wearing this insane attire covered in like diamonds. He looks like Batman / some sort of transformer. I'm not really sure what he was going for, but it looks crazy. And he blamed his poor performance in the ring on the weight of this costume he was wearing. Didn't go down well with the boxing public. I mean, you decided to wear it. So I don't know why it's the costume's fault. And the fight really did not go Deontay Wilder's way. Fury was at his absolute best. He was fit, he was strong, he was technical, he was on the front foot, and he'd worked out Deontay Wilder from their last fight that if you push him back, he's nowhere near as effective. The towel came in. The referee waved it off, and then the excuses began. Not only did he make an excuse about his ring attire, but then even the guy who threw the towel in, his coach, he fired him. He blamed it on him. He also said that trainer might have spiked his drink to make him underperform. Oh, and there was also Tyson Fury's gloves that apparently had been tampered with, so that made him a better puncher on the night as well. So if none of that had happened, he would have won easily.
But in the midst of it all, you still couldn't keep this king down.
Well, he beat you. So now the third fight between Wilder and Fury was interesting because Wilder already had a rematch clause in his contract with Fury. Fury was in talks to potentially fight Anthony Joshua, and there was talks about paying Deontay Wilder off to take a step-aside payment so that he could let those two fight, so he'd make a few million to not even have to fight. But Wilder being Wilder and always having this self-belief that he has, decided, nah, I want my trilogy fight. I still think I can beat him, even despite how one-sided that second fight was. And to be fair, he fought like his life depended on it in this fight, and I didn't even like Wilder coming at this fight. I was very much a Fury fan, ironically, but you couldn't help but admire the dog that he showed in this fight. And that is the first time Wilder goes down in round 3. And it really just felt like a continuation of the second fight. Wilder gets up, shakes his head, and he's like, nah, I'm not done yet. No chance. And to be fair, he wasn't. Fury closes the distance, and Wilder shocks him with a straight right. Fury is in a heap on the floor, and this was a shock because it had been pretty much domination from Fury in fight 2 and most of fight 3 now. This was not in the script. And again, Fury goes down from a short little hook. And at that point, a lot of the rest of the world were thinking, going down twice in one round from Deontay Wilder, people don't get out of fights like that. You do not recover. He doesn't allow it. But Fury's probably one of the few men in the world who could come through that, because that was ridiculous. And this is how the fight ended. Both men exhausted, but Wilder more exhausted after being lent on and having to deal with the weight of Fury, and he just gets absolutely obliterated at the end there. That's what you call going out on your shield. And as great as a win as it was for Fury, it made a lot of people who didn't like Wilder because of the things he says about wanting a body on his record or his bad loser attitude where he makes every excuse under the sun. As much as all of that is true and he shouldn't behave the way he does, you couldn't help but go, fucking hell, you took an arse kicking and kept on coming back for more, and you were in that fight till the bitter end. But Fury was clearly the better man. They'd fought 3 times, we had our answer, and for Wilder and his ego especially to handle that was going to be difficult. So Wilder made his return about a year later against Robert Helenius, who recently got knocked out of Anthony Joshua, with a slightly different style and a new coach who was trying to teach Wilder more of the boxing fundamentals of hit and don't get hit. Circle on the outside, try and use your footwork. Things that aren't really associated with Deontay Wilder. And we never really got an answer as to whether or not they were working, because he flattened Helenius pretty quickly. And Wilder's backing up here, and as you can see, he lands a sharp shot, and that really shouldn't have done the damage it did to Helenius, but that's the power that Wilder has. So when we seen that, we're like, well, Wilder's back. That's it then. But not really, because he wasn't in there with someone who was really going to test him the way Fury did. And unfortunately for Wilder, when he got in there recently with Joseph Parker, it just didn't look the same. He didn't look the same killer that the division had feared for a long time. And Parker, as you can see here, put it on him big time and took from the Fury game plan of that front foot pressure. And he didn't give Wilder air to breathe to get that big shot off. But even then, Wilder just didn't have the ability to pull the trigger anymore. He didn't look like the same person in there. He still got that same body, those same long arms. Everything is still there. It's like the Formula 1 car had changed driver, and now we'd got someone behind the wheel who was very much driving to the speed limit and making sure he stopped at the zebra crossing and paid attention to all the rules and regulations, right? He wasn't driving like a lunatic anymore, and that's what he's going to need to do if he's going to take himself back to the heavyweight title picture. So that's our little recap for the career of Deontay Wilder ahead of this huge event, 5 versus 5, coming up in Saudi Arabia on June 1st. I can't wait for it. We're going to be doing a big big live show with me and all the lads again. No doubt I look like a dickhead again when someone gets knocked out. But let me know in the comments below, does Deontay Wilder still have what it takes to take out a guy like Zhang, who, even though Zhang has also looked a bit hit and miss lately, he looked a lot better against Parker in my opinion. So there's everything to do for Deontay Wilder to overcome a mountain of a man like Zhang in his next fight. Don't forget to hit that like button, stay subscribed to the Pain Game YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.